But here is the biggie. This is a little bit longer clip.
Okay.
Much talked about. This is a big deal in Michigan. The auto saving the big three. Mm-hmm. And we need to fact check this as well afterwards. But this is here we go. Clip 7.
Well, I'll tell you something else that Senator Sanders was against. He was against the auto bailout. In January of 2009, President-elect Obama asked everybody in the Congress to vote for the bailout. The money was there and had to be released in order to save the American auto industry and 4 million jobs, and to begin the restructuring. We just had the best year that the auto industry has had in a long time. I voted to save the auto industry. He voted against the money that ended up saving the auto industry. I think that is a pretty big difference.
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy. Excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him respond.
If you're going to talk, tell the whole story, Senator
Let
Sanders.
me tell my story, you tell yours.
I will.
Your story is for voting for every disastrous trade agreement and voting for corporate America. Did I vote against the Wall Street bailout? When billionaires on Wall Street destroyed this economy, they went to Congress and they said, oh, please, we'll be good boys, bail us out. You know what I said? I said, let the billionaires themselves bail out Wall Street. Shouldn't be the middle class of this country.
Okay.
Lots to unpack there.
Where to start?
Yeah.
Where to start? We did, the look on Senator Sanders' face was like, oh, what are you talking about? I was against the auto industry bailout. And you have the facts now.
I have lots of facts. I'll start with the Washington Post fact check.
Right.
Just because it is the simplest. And this is a direct quote by Amber Phillips over at the Washington Post. What Clinton said is technically true, but it glosses over a lot of important nuance, including the fact that Sanders is actually on record supporting the auto bailout. He even voted for it.
There you have it.
Yes. And I think
that's pretty simple.
It comes down to the fact that this was included as part of Wall Street's bailout.
Right.
And say whatever you will about the auto bailout, and there's lots to discuss there about how GM handled the afterwards, what they did with jobs and wages and unions and American manufacturing after you and me and John Q. taxpayer paid to fix them and make them whole again. But it was even before that. And, I have a quote here. I'm not going to have time to read it. But from when Bernie was actually on talking to Thom back in December of 2008. And he lays it out. And he basically says, I'll paraphrase, but yeah, we'll give you the money. But if we give you the money, we're going to dictate what you can do with it and tell you that you're not going to ship jobs overseas and you're not going to screw American workers. And guess what? He didn't get his way. And what happened? We'll be right back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
We have to finish up this auto bailout thing.
Okay, yes.
All right, so what this came down to is remember TARP? The Troubled Asset Relief Program. Bernie Sanders voted against that. Okay?
Yes.
The money for the auto bailout came out of that money. Now, when TARP was first proposed by George W. Bush, there was no mention of bailing out the auto industries. It wasn't part of that deal. So when Bernie Sanders, and as I understand it, when people were voting for or against TARP, that was money that was going to go to banksters, period. End of story, full stop. Some people supported this. Some people were against it. All right. Now, it was released in two groups of money. It was $700 billion. There was $350 billion and $350 billion. The first $350 billion was much fought over, and it was released at the same time as the initial vote. Mm-hmm. Then there was a second half of it. And this is what this whole thing is about, is releasing that second half. There had to be another vote by Congress. And a lot of this money was going to the banksters. There were those in Congress that said, we want to help the auto industry. Here's a separate bill because we don't want this money going to banks. We think that they messed up. They should pay. There has to be a different way than the American taxpayer bailing out a bunch of gambling banksters. So we will fix the auto industry. That's very important to us. Here's another bill. Didn't happen. So when it came right down to it, there were plenty of people who supported fixing the auto industry. They just didn't believe in the means of doing it, which meant giving billions to the banks.
Right.
That's what went on, period.
Right. And even when you talk about the banks, Senator Sanders wasn't against bailing out the banks. He understood that we had to prop up the economy. However, this is from a transcript from back December 19th. I looked
for the audio. I looked for it. I just cannot find it.
December 19th of 2008. And in which he says, if you came to me, Tom, and said, Bernie, I need some money, I'd say, okay, Tom, I'll give you some money, but this is what you've got to do with it. A and B and C and D, and I'm going to watch you. But apparently, ABC did something last week, meaning banks talking about, we have to bail out the banks. We have to save the auto industry, but let's use this as an opportunity to say, hey, we'll fix this. We'll make sure we save the economy, but we're going to make sure you guys don't get us in this mess again.
And I remember the entire debate around this. I remember actually reading, first it was a 3-page bill. Then it was 100 pages. I remember reading all 100 pages and saying, wow, this is a blank check. Mm-hmm. And there were those who were advocating saying, this is a crisis. We understand that. We are going to fix this crisis, but we're also going to fix it going forward. And all the people in the Bush administration who were running around saying the world is going to end.
That.
We don't have time for that. We'll do that later. We'll do that later. We'll do that.
Trust us.
We swear we will do that later. We will cross our hearts, hope to die. And of course, when it came right down to it, they fought tooth and nail on Dodd-Frank, which is not even close to the.
And they've never funded it, and they still complain about it.
So I don't believe it's unreasonable to say. And on top of it, you can't take, huge paychecks out of taxpayer, funded money. And they figured out how to do that.
Right.
We'd rather this money not go to foreign banks. Couldn't fix that. There was so much to it. This was far more. This was not a vote where you said you are for or against fixing the big three automakers. It was not about that. It wasn't. In putting it that way, I hope the fact checkers get on top of this before this meme gets out there, because the clip's going to be played a lot. And it can be very damaging in the way it was presented.
Yeah.
I really think it was not.
It was not fair?
No, I don't. But, it's politics. It ain't beanbag, but we got to fight back on this.
The saying that will never live down. I don't think anybody believes that Senator Sanders doesn't support union jobs, doesn't support the fact that, and if you really want to know his feelings about the issue, go look up that transcript. There's lots there. I won't burden you with reading it to you, but let's have a real discussion about it. Right. And when these opportunities happen, yes, what is the cliche expression that every tragedy is an opportunity, or every mistake is an opportunity to learn, whatever. When these situations come up, that is the perfect situation to say, hey, you guys crashed the economy. We're going to put restrictions on you so that you don't do it again. Oh, hey, auto companies, you need some money in a bailout. We're going to make sure that you're not screwing American workers and American taxpayers in the process. What is wrong with that?
Nothing.
What is using those chances, those opportunities to stipulate that, yes, you are going to be a responsible corporate citizen, or you're not going to do business in the United States?
I wouldn't even put it as taking the opportunity. It's just saying that you're not going to throw good money after bad.
Right.
That it seems pointless to throw money at a situation which was caused, giving it to the same people who caused it, who will continue to do the same thing and just need it again. And we've gotten to a crisis point, whether we're talking about banking or we're talking about the auto industries. Let's fix it. And fix it going forward as well. Why not?
I love in this transcript here, Senator Sanders is talking about when the big three automakers, when the heads of them actually came to the Senate to ask for that bailout.
Remember that?
And he says, we had the big three guys here. UAW was there. And I asked the big three. My question was, in how many years do you think you'll be shutting down virtually all of your plants in the United States and moving to China, producing your cars there and bringing them back into this country? And I thought they would say, no, don't be silly. That would never happen. But, they weren't so vehement in what they had to say. So when we look at what's going on in the automobile manufacturing, you're absolutely right. There has been a significant decline in the good number of jobs, and they're opening up plants all over the world. All he wanted to do was hold them accountable for that.
Right.
If that's not supporting auto workers, I don't know what is.
Right. I totally agree. I remember that entire thing also because they flew in on private jets.
Right.
I remember that. That was a big optics issue. I mean,
and they have since paid us back by closing plants, moving to Mexico. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
There is a way, because it isn't just blindly supporting the executives at a large corporation. It's about supporting the workers that work for that corporation as well, which is equally, if not more important,
right,
I believe, to the American voters, at least to me. I'll put it that way.
And one of the biggest ways that the American workers get screwed these days is unfair trade deals that benefit billionaires and major corporations.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.